Americans nowadays are a lot like sheep. They don't ask questions. The debt we have right now is about $16 trillion. Now, to put that into perspective, if every human or every American right now owed it, it would be about $50,704.84 or 48 cents that each American owes the outside banks that our government is spending money on. And who are these banks? These banks are they're old family banks. 1900s is when they kind of started attacking America after the Civil War. We were rapidly becoming the most prosperous and industrial country on earth. The investing bankers knew that they had to quickly take control of us before America got too big for them to handle. These banks are, like I said, family banks. Morgans were the big ones, Rockefellers, and European Rothschilds. Now, they had taken control over central banks in England and most European countries for over 300 years. So, what that means is that they kind of have control over our whole Federal Reserve system right now. Now, the Federal Reserve is basically how we're going to print our money, is what they say. So, the reason we have the Federal Reserve is they'll give us a loan. We take loans out. We call them a bond. I don't know if that just sounds nicer, but take a loan out that's held by banks, investors, or foreign governments. America is kind of running out of people to start loaning from because they have to get more loans to pay back the old interest on old loans that we took out prior. So the way we're going to need to fix this $16 trillion debt problem is we either need to cut spending or raise taxes. Now, there's a problem with both of these. Cutting spending is that people will spend that we're spending money on, like other countries will say that, they don't have any money because they've relied on our money so long, and that we're hurting the economy. And the problem with raising taxes, besides the fact that, well, they're already way too high now, is that there's people will riot, they'll go insane. So, if we can't cut taxes, and we can't cut spending, and we can't raise taxes, what are we going to do? Well, the problem is going even more. Well, we can create more money. Now, if we go and create more money, it makes our dollar bill worth less, which is called inflation. So, now that we have a dollar that's worth very little, and you're realizing that your main foods, metals, or oil are going up, it's not that they're becoming less. There's less of it. It's just that we don't have enough money to spend on it, and our dollar is becoming becoming worth less and less and less because it's becoming worth less and less and less. Products like those become more and more and more. So there's a few things. When we signed over our Federal Reserve Act in 1913, it was Woodrow Wilson that did it. But in our Constitution, this is a quote from Thomas Jefferson. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency first by inflation, then by deflation, we're in inflation recession now, the banks and corporates that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless and the continent their fathers conquered. So that's kind of where we're at right now. When it was enacted in 1913, a few years later by Woodrow Wilson came out and said, "I'm the most unhappy man. I unwittingly ruin my country. A great industrial nation is controlled by its system of credit. Our system of credit is concentrated. The growth of the nation, therefore, and all activities are in the hands of very few men." These are those bankers we talked about earlier, the family businesses that have been in Europe for 300 plus years. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government of free opinion, no longer a government by conviction, but the vote of the majority by a government, the opinion endures a small group of dominant men. So now we're waiting. On December 21st, 2012, the Federal Reserve Act will run out. And our people have to decide if we're going to keep it out or if we're going to make the same mistake we made for the last 100 years. So I'm going to say audit the Fed and don't enact it again. We don't have to be part of a system. We can be the ruling nation that we always dreamed to be. Let's go America.